Marcus Aurelius says, "A person's life is the product of their thoughts." That morning when I was lying there staring at the ceiling, not even breathing, this sentence hit me like a heavy blanket. My life, was it really the product of my thoughts? But what about my thoughts? How much of them were truly mine? Or had I over the years filled my mental home with other people's furniture while trying to protect someone else's love, not wanting to lose it? It was 7 in the morning. The day started like any other. But everything ordinary that day echoed with an extraordinary silence. The phone was silent. The other side of the bed was empty. That little dip on the pillow carried the trace of someone who wasn't there anymore. Like a shadow. A cold shadow, but one you could still feel. And at that moment, I understood. She was gone. No message, no goodbye. It was like she left my life as quietly as closing a window. Silently, without feeling. But inside me, there was a noise echoing so loud it was deafening. For the first few minutes, I couldn't move. I stared into the void. My eyes were open, but my mind was frozen. It was like even my thoughts had left the house with her. But then, a buzzing started in the background of my mind, that familiar, cruel voice. What did I do? How did I make losing her so easy? Why didn't she want me? And I listened to that voice. I fought with it, but every blow was buried under the fears of the identity I had destroyed with my own hands. And that's when the real fight with myself began. Yes, she was gone. But who was the man left behind? Seneca says pain that trains the mind also shapes the soul. That phrase was like a sword stabbing deep inside me, because pain wasn't just an outcome anymore. It was a teacher. Cold, ruthless, but honest. The first step I took that day was not outward but inward. Away from crowds, away from the glow of social media, away from well-meaning but empty consolations of friends. Into myself. It's not easy to explain. Turning inward is like walking into a dark cave. You never know what you'll find inside. But as your eyes adjust to the darkness, you see yourself, naked, without a mask, vulnerable, broken. This could be our story, yours too. The story of everyone quietly listening on the other side of the screen. Every man who's been abandoned, forgotten, felt worthless. But know this. This video isn't a drama. It's not a why me story. It's a story of rebirth, of the man rising from the ashes. The man who found himself after the woman who never came back. I remember the early days of the relationship. I used to think time stopped when I looked into her eyes. It felt like the world made more sense when I was with her, sleeping next to her, waking up with her. Life felt whole. But now, looking back, I realize, while getting so close to her, I couldn't see how far I'd drifted from myself. Whenever I felt something about myself, a desire, an idea, I swallowed it to avoid clashing with her. I laughed the way she wanted, talked the way she liked, lived the way she imagined. Without even realizing it, I slowly disappeared. The colors in my face faded, my voice softened, my identity blurred. And now, after she left, staring at these empty walls, I realized maybe her leaving was the only chance I had to turn back to myself. Epictetus once said, "Don't concern yourself with how others see you. Focus on how you see yourself." That moment, I looked in the mirror. I mean, really looked. A tired face, dark circles from sleepless nights, slumped shoulders, an unsure posture. It felt like even my soul had left me behind. And I asked myself, is this really you? Are you the man falling apart just because a woman isn't around? When did you agree to live your life based on someone else's attention? That day, I made a promise to myself for the first time. Never again would I exist based on someone else's presence. The first week, was brutal. There's no way to explain that kind of pain. Every corner reminded me of the streets we walked together. Every song sounded like her voice. Even seeing her favorite chocolate at the grocery store made my eyes well up. It felt like the whole city was covered in her fingerprints, like the world was built around her, and I had somehow been locked out. That's when I stopped walking. I couldn't run away anymore. I had to face it, so I started to run. Literally run. Running became the first real step toward freeing not just my body, but my mind and my soul. With every step, my heart pounded, my breath got shorter, but I kept going. Because running was the only way to turn all that chaos, confusion, and helplessness inside me into something real. The streets were quiet in the early morning. The wind hit my face, sweat rolled down my cheeks. But something inside me began to shift. With every breath, the weight on my chest got lighter. Every step felt like breaking another chain off my soul. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Even in the midst of difficulty, keep peace within yourself." And that day, I finally understood. Real strength doesn't come from what's around you. It comes from the calm within you. Running turned into meditation. I started observing every thought, every worry, every piece of guilt I held against myself. I accepted them without judgment. And slowly, I started letting them go. When I first stepped into the gym, I was just trying to escape. But in between those weights, I found something. As I pushed my body to its limits, I realized I was breaking the limits inside me too. My muscles ached, but my soul was getting stronger. Epictetus said, "Self-control is the greatest victory." And those days taught me something deep. Discipline is the key to freedom. When you learn to control yourself, the world can't control you. Waking up early stopped being a burden. It became a reward. Cold showers, that shocking chill on my skin, it reminded me I was alive. My shelves were now filled with books. Words from Stoic philosophers, Seneca, Marcus, Epictetus. They were teaching me how to endure pain, how to face hardship. Seneca once said, "If you resist pain, strength will rise." That's the quote I lived by. I felt the pain, but I didn't let it define me. As time passed, her silence stopped feeling like a wound. Her absence turned into a kind of sacred silence. And in that silence, my inner voice whispered, "This quiet is showing you your own worth." And I forgave her. Not her, really. Myself. My friends were still worried. "Bro, why aren't you calling her? Maybe she wants to come back. Just give it one more shot. Maybe you can still be friends." But I had changed. There was someone new inside me. Someone who wasn't looking back anymore. Someone building himself all over again. Seneca says the measure of strength isn't what you've lost. It's how you respond to the loss. And I got stronger. Not because I held on, but because I let go and started something new. One morning, before the sun even came up, I woke early. My bare feet touched the cold floor. As I made my coffee, I looked outside. The world was still asleep, but inside me, something new was waking up. She never came back, but I did. To myself, to my life, to who I really am. My phone's on silent now, notifications off, and no noise from the outside is strong enough to tear down the fortress I've built inside. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. And my response then was to be reborn. Day by day, I began to build a fortress within myself, not with bricks or stone, but with the strength to stand on my own. That inner fortress became a symbol of handling her absence, and finally learning that I was enough. The first layer of that wall was self-respect. I rebuilt my sense of worth. I stopped looking for approval outside of myself. I started validating me. The second layer was made of discipline. Early mornings, brutal workouts, cold showers that made me gasp. Discipline became my door to freedom. Because real freedom only comes when you have control over yourself. The third and thickest wall was silence, not just tuning out the noise of the world, but learning to sit still and actually hear myself. To not drown in the storm of emotions, but listen patiently to what was inside. Marcus Aurelius said, "He who conquers himself is truly free." And my freedom was inside that fortress. Thinking about the past used to hurt. Her voice, her laugh, her touch. But now, those memories don't break me. Each one taught me something. The past was no longer a burden. It became my teacher. My wounds were healing. The pain was becoming my power. Seneca once said, "The greatest strength is the ability to renew yourself." Still, there were moments when the old me tried to come back, waves of loneliness, frustration, anger. But I didn't drown in those emotions anymore. I watched them, and I moved forward, one step at a time. I learned something powerful. Falling doesn't matter. Getting back up does. Now I looked out from the fortress I built inside myself. The shadows of the past didn't haunt me anymore. They were just reminders of how far I'd come. The moment that once shattered me had become the very thing that made me stronger. Every morning I woke up with a new sense of hope. I felt the weight, the honor, of being the one responsible for my own life. I wasn't living for someone else's choices anymore. I was living by my own values. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be yourself, for real happiness comes from inner peace." And I finally understood. I found peace in my own silence. I found happiness in making my own choices, and that happiness didn't rely on anything or anyone outside of me. That old pain in my chest, it faded, and in its place, a deeper understanding. I realized life will always throw things at you that you can't control. But the way you see them, the way you respond, that is what shapes you. Epictetus once said, "It's not the event itself that upsets you, it's how you think about it." That idea changed me. I no longer lost control when life pushed back. I stopped trying to manage my emotions and started managing my thoughts. My friends started to notice. "You've changed," they'd say. "You're calmer, stronger." But I knew. The real change happened on the inside, quiet, deep, permanent. One day I started deleting her old messages. Each one carried a memory on. But I knew. It wasn't time to hold on anymore, it was time to let go. And in that moment, I felt it. One door was closing, another was beginning to open. Seneca said, "The best revenge is to live well." And I did. That was my revenge, not anger, not regret, but living well, returning to myself, growing strong in the silence. Now I'm speaking to you. If this story awakens something in you, just stand up, break the chains of your past, and start walking your own path. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you wake up in the morning, remember this. You have a reason to live, to be human. So be human, but be a strong, calm, and grounded one. And whatever you do, don't go back to who you used to be." Sometimes things end, but life doesn't. And if you don't let the thing that ended define you, then the time ahead becomes a palace you get to rebuild. I had already laid the first brick of that palace, but now it was time to learn how to live in it. Because being strong isn't just about surviving pain, it's about staying strong afterward. People were noticing. I wasn't the same. My words were simpler, my reactions more measured, my presence quieter. But most of all, my silence had changed. Back then, I was quiet because I was hurt. Now, I was quiet because I was at peace. Back then, I stayed silent because I didn't know what to say. Now, I chose silence because not everything needs to be said. Even my relationships with women had changed. I no longer saw them as something I needed. I could love a woman, connect with her, but the idea that I needed a woman's love to feel whole, that was gone, because I wasn't incomplete anymore. Her look, her care, her love, yes, they were beautiful. But I no longer measured my worth by someone else's attention. I wasn't changing myself just to be loved, and that was freedom. Epictetus once said, "True freedom is only given to those who master their own desires." I had started observing my desires. Even when I wanted someone deeply, I would stop and ask myself, is this desire coming from fear or from true choice? Those questions protected me. They kept me from repeating the same mistakes. They helped me stay grounded in myself. I no longer cared what people thought of me. Those who understood me stayed. Those who didn't quietly drifted away. And that wasn't loneliness, that was cleansing. My social circle changed too. No more gossip. Now I sat with men who were building lives, men with purpose. We spoke less but said more. Nobody was trying to prove anything. We were just walking our own paths, and I realized real masculinity isn't about raising your voice. It's about knowing when to speak. I used to yell when I argued. Now I just look. Most times I turn and walk away without a word, because it's not about fighting. It's about managing your energy. A man who knows himself doesn't react to every provocation. He doesn't feel the need to prove his strength, because he knows he has it. Marcus Aurelius said, "Your time is limited, so live it with honor, clarity, and calm." And that's how I live now. I speak less, observe more, keep fewer people close but form deeper connections, and most importantly, the voice inside me is clear now. You are special, you are worthy, and your worth is not defined by someone who walked away. I don't hear you anymore. I don't listen to your silence. I listen to mine. And that silence says more than anything ever could. It's over. But that ending isn't your end. It's your beginning. I lost a woman, but I found myself, and I learned something. A man should never fall apart over losing a woman, because your worth doesn't begin with someone else. It begins with you. A relationship doesn't complete me anymore, because I'm not incomplete. Yes, I'm open to love, but I'm not dependent on it. I didn't need her to choose me. I needed me to choose myself, and I did. I'm not trying to win anyone back, because staying with me, that's a privilege, and not everyone deserves it. I don't chase after those who leave. I walk my own path, because I'm the man who chooses himself, and that changes everything. If you're going through the same things today, if you're drowning in the same silence, if you're waiting for a message, hoping for a sign, let this video be that message. Let that sign be a return to yourself, because you need to stay with you. Remember this, you're not broken because they left. You're not worthless because they never came back. You're still here, and that is your strength. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Master yourself, then no one else can master you." I held on to that. Life came like a storm, but I never hit the ground. I may have slowed down, but I never stopped. Life is quieter now, but there's peace in that silence, because I'm full inside, because now I'm enough for myself. I made a promise. I'll never offer my love like it's a bargain again. I'll never change just to be loved. I'll never lose myself just to win a woman's attention. The one who loves me without needing to know everything will stay. And the one who stays even after knowing me, that's when love becomes real. If this video is for you, if this story hit home, know this, you're not alone. Thousands of men have been through this, but some of them, they didn't just survive, they got stronger. Be one of them. Don't walk back. Walk forward. Don't lean on a woman's attention. Stand on your own character. Don't rely on applause from others. Trust the quiet approval from within, because a real man carries both love and loss in silence. And if at the end of this video you feel like saying something, just comment, "I'm still here." Because those 3 words are the silent roar of a man who refuses to break. And remember, being stoic doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being strong enough to own your emotions. You are strong. And this isn't just a video. This is day 1 of your transformation.